I'm hearing myself. We have all new stuff this morning. Can you tell? Or actually this afternoon. I've been up a long time. It already seems like Sunday to me. Did you get that?
I did get that.
Hillary's here. Hillary Odell with the Baskin Real Estate Specialist. I'm very excited about this program because Leilani Armstrong with Tulsa County Early Settlement Mediation is with us. And this is like the hidden jewel. This is this free service. Now it's free. It used to be like pennies, but now it's free, and it's available to anyone in Tulsa County. We'll find out more about it. You want to know about this stuff. You want to kind of like, you need to dream up disputes so you can take them. Find way. All these people, you think, I'm going to take all of this down to the... No, seriously, there are so many disputes that end up costing people lots of money that if they can just learn to sit down and talk about it and have a framework, a structure to do this, they can get it resolved. So we'll learn all kinds of things about that. First, I want to talk about our community spotlight, and I'll give you a choice. Hillary?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm excited.
It's always my favorite. So last week we had John 3:16 mission. So
okay.
John316mission.org. This week, since I don't have someone scheduled, it will be CASA or Junior Achievement. Those are my two.
Junior Achievement's your favorite, so I'll...
Oh, but I can't say that because I'm on the CASA board too.
Oh, yeah, you are. Okay, you talk about Junior Achievement more, so talk about CASA.
Talk about CASA? Okay, so court-appointed special advocates. These are the people who are volunteers, just like you and me, who learn how to speak for neglected and abused children in the court system. So what happens when a child, let's say parents are arrested or there's something bad has happened and the children come into custody or somebody reports, hey, I think these kids are being abused, and you've got to take the kids out of the house while something's being investigated. They go into the system, and the system is a good protective service, etc., but it's just a bunch of people doing their jobs, really. Like, who gives the child a voice in the court system, like when a judge is looking at this pile of papers that comes in from the attorney, from the caseworker, letters maybe that have been collected from various people, the parents are there, the grandparents are there, people saying, well, no, this didn't happen, and they're doing that and whatever, and the drug tests, the urine analysis, all these things are just piled into this mess of paperwork, and a judge has 15 minutes, whatever, 15 minutes to decide the future of this child with all of these little decisions that are taking place. Well, who speaks up for the child? It's the CASA that does that. And the CASAs are appointed by the court, and you get a case worker that with CASA, a case manager that helps you prepare and know what to say and how to present it. And it allows the child to have an individual speaking for them. And many times through the entire process of a child being in the custody of the state, the only person who is consistent in their journey is the CASA. They've had different attorneys. They've had different foster families. They've had different caseworkers. And the CASA serves one of the most critical roles in a child's life. And that's why we need volunteers. TulsaCasa.org. There are lunch and learns. You can find out about them. I mean, this is just a short little segment we're talking about. But is this right for you? Is it something that you can volunteer for? Don't be afraid of it. Go find out more. But let me speak to those people who are a little afraid. I don't know, like being in court, isn't that kind of scary? Hillary, if I just put you in court today and here, say something for this child. Speak up for this child.
Yeah, I'd be terrified.
Okay. Imagine what a child feels like who has they don't even maybe know enough to be terrified. They're just living terror because they've been taken out of the only home they know. Even if it was an abusive home, it was what they knew. And they're put into this other environment, which is supposedly safer, but it's terrifying. Everything they had was shoved in a trash bag. This is really what happens, folks. It's put in a trash bag. We got to get you out of here. And you go off with some stranger, and you're put in somebody else's house who says, oh, we love you. Everything's going to be okay. Here's your new room, your new school. I just want my mom. I just want my dad. Mm-hmm. That's what they knew. Somebody steps forward, and that's the CASA, to give them a voice in the court system. TulsaCasa.org. I'll tell you, folks, there's nothing more rewarding than the feeling that you have helped speak up for a child by speaking up for a child in our court system. TulsaCasa.org. I'm Daryl Baskin. You're listening to The Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information. You want to see us in studio, check us online at Facebook Live or TulsaLiveEvents.com. We'll be back with Leilani Armstrong with Tulsa Early Settlement Mediation and Hillary's special segment, which I love this week. The title of it, Why You Shouldn't Have a Realtor That's Too Good. After this.
When quality and value matter most, choose Window World. Superior service, American-made products, and industry-leading warranties make us the #1 choice for your next home remodel. J.D. Power ranked Window World highest in customer satisfaction with window and patio door retailers. Be proud of your home and take care of it with a brand you can trust. Window World, America's exterior remodeler.
She designed the dress, but can she budget for her future?
I'm not ready yet, but I want to be.
Help her get 100% ready.
I live in a 100-year-old home. It's a home I fell in love with, and it has so many amazing features. But the one thing it does not have is straight windows. It has windows that are cracked and broken and worn out. I contacted Window World. They came in and put these brand new, amazing, incredibly beautiful windows into my home. From the outside of the house, they match the exterior perfectly. It looks like they've always been here. Now the windows are the jewels in the home. Window World, from the beginning to the end, they met and exceeded every expectation I had. Window World really is simply the best for less.
Ready for Window World, one of the original 189 windows. I've always believed that America works best when America works. That's why our maintenance-free products are made right here in the USA. Energy-saving products save your money two ways. First, Window World is America's largest replacement window company, and since we sell more windows than anyone else, we can sell them for less. Second, our great lineup from windows to siding time stores work together to make your home energy-efficient, saving you money, Plus, we run a good housekeeping sale. Every window we sell and install comes with an exclusive, true lifetime warranty, transferable and guaranteed. And even though we cost break each release, we don't want to visit our showroom, see us online at windowworld.com, give us a call at 1-800-NEXT-WINDOW. Superior products installed by professional craftsmen, guaranteed low prices. When it comes to updating your home with attractive, energy-saving products, there's only one thing to remember: Window World, simply the best for less.
Favorites, which isn't going to last. It cannot last much longer. There's just nothing there.
It's impossible.
It has no competition. Mm-hmm. You should see it tomorrow. Actually, you might want to see it today, because if you see it today before the open house, then you can buy it before the open house.
There you go. I will be there at the open house if you do not see it today, though.
I won't be surprised if it sells this weekend. You know, we had an open house scheduled for the one on 45th, and it sold like 5 days before the open house.
Yes.
With multiple offers.
Yes.
And that stuff happens, folks. So think about it. The best houses sell even if the market is like slow.
True.
And the market's not slow. So when they're at the right price and there's no competition and there's movement in the market, then the one that you find, if you've looked at, say, 10, 15 houses and you're like, oh, this one stands out, this is really the best. Guess what? Somebody else probably thought that. And when the market's really fast, then 5, 10 other people may have thought that. So it really does happen. If your real estate agent is telling you that there are multiple offers and you've been looking around and it stands out as a really nice property, you don't always know. People are skeptical, understandably. Like, are they being honest with me? Well, if that's the case, if those components are there, it's probably true because the market's the market. 4717 South Narcissus Avenue, a single level with a 3-car garage. For 185?
187.
187.5. Almost all full brick.
Yeah, almost all full brick.
And island kitchen, 2 dining areas, a nice large living space that you walk into with a fireplace, split bedroom plan. So
yes,
it, being one level, they're close enough if you want to have like a nursery and you want your child to be close, but they're far enough away that if somebody wants to sit in their room and listen to some music, you're not like, oh, I can't go to sleep. Can you please be quiet? You know, that kind of thing?
Exactly.
We're talking about living
yes.
and how you live in a house.
And a beautiful backyard. You have to always say it's
beautiful.
the best.
4717 South Narcissus Avenue. And you're opening tomorrow from 2 to 4?
Sunday from 2 to 4.
All right. Check it out online. You can find our Facebook posts or just Google the address. You'll find it. Any number of home sites will have it because we do share our properties. One of the marketing advantages when you have a realtor that is part of the IDX system, the International Data Exchange System, is they push that data out to be listed in as many places as possible. So you'll see photos, you can see our DB 3D home tours, and the address again is 4717 South Narcissus Avenue. One address, thousands of homes, homeguidetulsa.com. So in studio here with Hillary Odell with the Baskin Real Estate Specialists and special guest Leilani Armstrong with Tulsa County Early Settlement Mediation. You're that jewel that people don't know about, and I think sometimes they find out too late. Leilani, what do you do?
We offer court-sponsored mediation on a variety of topics, and what I'm most excited about, Daryl, is the exciting news that we have right now, which is the state statute's been changed, and we offer all of our mediation services for free. So it doesn't matter whether you're doing real estate mediation or family and divorce or neighborhood matters, landlord-tenant, consumer-merchant, any kind of mediation is now free of charge. And what's exciting is people can call in and we can get your case going over the phone. We used to have to wait till they brought in their user fee.
Seriously?
We don't have to wait anymore. You can call and do it over the phone.
You've actually been able to update to a phone call rather than physically walking in and
to file.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they can, we have people who want to fax it in. We have people who want to send us an email. We have people who want to phone it in. All of those things are doable now because there are no fees, and it's fabulous.
So we talk about mediation. Oh, that's all wonderful. Great, let's go to a commercial, whatever. I think some people kind of tune it out because, okay, this doesn't apply to me.
Well, they need to start really thinking about it because I'm hearing about all kinds of fees. I'm hearing that a lot of people are spending anywhere from, $20,000 to $100,000 on getting a divorce these days. I am absolutely...
That's a low price compared to what I've seen. Have a divorce specialty, and I spend a lot of time working with people selling their houses during a divorce because you have to work with husband and wife. Neither one is getting along, and you're trying to focus on the property. Let's save you money so that we can isolate this fight to something that is not ruining your future or causing you a 10-year setback. That's what we focus on, which is partially a mediation, a quality of mediation here. And when I see the amount of money that people are spending fighting, it is sickening.
Well, they don't understand. They really get kind of seduced by the court system. Now, I don't blame the attorneys from the standpoint that they work hard for their money. They deserve to be paid. However, it starts out with a real seductive $2,000 or $3,000 retainer. And people think, oh, that's not too much. But then the meter starts ticking. and people start accruing fees, and you find out that a year later they're still not divorced, and each one of them has run up $20,000 in attorney fees. And so what they really need to embrace is the program is sponsored by the Supreme Court of Oklahoma. The Supreme Court has Oklahomans' best interests at heart by providing this service for them. It's private, it's confidential. And then they also need to understand.
Can I interrupt here for a moment? You say private and confidential, meaning that every motion that is being filed to air someone's dirty laundry, to get back to them, or to get them back through a high conflict divorce. Well, I'm going to put this out there, and then it gets filed at oscn.net and all of this stuff that just becomes a mess. That doesn't happen?
I don't know about that. That's motion filing, and that's actually when you're going to court. I'm talking about
that's my answer.
The mediation service is
private.
Is private and confidential.
And that's what I want to point out. That's exactly what I want to point out, that you avoid those other things, which once the fight is over, once you're finished with divorce court, all of that stuff is still posted online. Yuck. Who wants that for your kids?
You bring up a good point.
Who wants all that? So let's look at, and by the way, this is me talking. Daryl Baskin. This is not coming from, this part of it's not coming from Leilani. So I don't want to get you in the middle. You're sitting here, trying to also serve your professional role. But I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that in the midst of all of these things, and everybody's telling you, you need to fight, you need to get this, you need to get that, mediation is a huge win if you've got two parties who will sit down at the table and really look at what's best.
Right, and they need to embrace this as a family project, just like any other project that they would do as a family and do it together and be on the same team. They need to embrace getting their divorce as a team project that they need to work together on.
and even though you're trying to end the team.
I know that sounds hard, and you're trying to dissolve that partnership or dissolve the team, but they really need to understand that they have to protect the equity in their home. They have to protect their family assets, their stocks, their bonds, all of their material assets. You really
that you've
don't
worked
want
years for.
They've worked decades for. And, if people lose $50,000 or $100,000 of the equity in their home, guess what? They're not going to need your services, and they're not going to need her services, because they won't be able to buy another home because they're not going to be having the money, and they can't replace it easily.
Who does mediation not work for? I mean, sometimes you have to go to court.
Well, we are not able to take cases where there's active domestic violence or mental health issues or substance abuse. As long as those items are not in play, basically, we can go ahead and take your case and help you. And we have neutral third-party mediators. They're all go through the Supreme Court training. They're all certified. And they are not paid by the hour. See, that's the other thing. When you go to mediation out there in the private mediation arena, you're paying people who do it by the hour. There is no incentive to hurry your case along because the meter's ticking and they're making money, okay? And the Supreme Court has objectified this by having a neutral third party who is a volunteer, who is not making any money and does not have any dog in the fight.
But what if I don't like the outcome of mediation?
Well, they decide it themselves. The mediator does not tell you what to do.
Okay, so mediation versus arbitration. Describe that difference.
Okay, in mediation, the two parties are facilitated and they work with the mediator, but they make the decisions. The mediator does not tell them what to do, does not issue a ruling, does not determine the outcome. Arbitration, that person would basically tell them a ruling or an outcome, much like a judge would.
So let's say I've got a dispute with someone and I go to mediation and I don't really like the outcome. We don't reach an agreement on 100%. Can we agree? Can we reach agreement on partial things so that we're fighting about less?
Yes, you can certainly streamline your issues and make partial agreements and not have to, litigate the whole thing. We always recommend that people streamline their divorce or any other kind of matter that they're having problems with, even if it's a consumer merchant dispute, anything. Streamline it, go to mediation first, get as much resolved as you can. It will save you time in court. It will save you money. Most of the time, people can get the whole thing resolved and not even have to go to court.
And what's your success rate?
Well, last year, our overall success rate was about 80%. So we would say 8 out of 10. Now, we're not going to get that other 20% are never going to agree, and that's okay. We do not force people. We do not force them to agree.
You're just, the Supreme Court, I guess, would be in favor and want to really be behind this, which they are, but they're behind it to kind of reduce the backlog of the people coming in.
Yes, they want to reduce the backlog, and they want to help Oklahomans. Let's face it, if you are having, let's go back to our divorce example. If you are managing a household, and you've got a budget, of course, it makes economic sense. You cannot split that household and now maintain two separate households on that same level of income. You just can't do it. So they really are trying to help people, for example, not become homeless.
Sure, it's better for our entire economy not to have the social services burdened with people who have had a collapsed family structure and economic structure within their family.
That's right. And that's why I'm so careful about saying people need to preserve their assets and really watch the equity in their home, because, you know, if you lose $50,000 or $60,000 or more of equity, you can't replace that overnight. You just can't.
So, this is the tough part. I want to talk to you about a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay.
But we only have like a minute and a half before we can do this. So, can you tell a short story about a success protecting the innocent?
Well, we had a couple one time who came for a divorce, for example, and they had a 5-year-old. And they sat down with a mediator and they worked everything out, but they were concerned about the future. And we said to them, well, you know, did you know that you can come back every year if you want to and sit down and renegotiate with a mediator?
Without a court order? What happens here?
Right. And that's because, as you know, children change. A 5-year-old's needs of what they want to do, their extracurricular activities and so forth, all of that changes. By the time that child is 10, they're doing completely different activities. By the time they're a teenager, everything changes.
Is it fair to say that people just need someone in between to talk to? Because I've been through this process as a real estate broker, helping two parties come to agreement on something. It was kind of like magic when we sat down at the table and they had someone else to look at and talk to. They were in the same room.
You know, I think there is some magic, Daryl, because what happens is everybody wants to seem that they're reasonable or that they're a decent person. And if I want to be a reasonable, decent person and you want to be a reasonable, decent person, and the mediator is going to work with each one of us, somehow we're going to bridge that gap and we're going to come together on what we can do.
Interesting. Well, we've got more coming up here with Leilani Armstrong at Tulsa Early Settlement Mediation. You are listening to The Future of Real Estate, Tulsa source for local real estate news and information. Stay tuned.
Maybe try to be a lawyer.
I would like to run like a little cafe.
Junior Achievement gives young people the skills they need to own their economic success, plan for their future, and make smart academic choices. Our volunteers help students with financial literacy, work readiness,
how it's going to be in the future.
I live in a 100-year-old home. It's a home I fell in love with, and it has so many amazing features. But the one thing it does not have is straight windows. It has windows that are cracked and broken and worn out. I contacted Window World. They came in and put these brand new, amazing, incredibly beautiful windows into my home. From the outside of the house, they match the exterior perfectly. It looks like they've always been here. Now the windows are the jewels in the home. Window World, from the beginning to the end, they met and exceeded every expectation I had. Window World really is simply the best for less.
When quality and value matter most, choose Window World. Superior service, American-made products, and industry-leading warranties make us the #1 choice for your next home remodel. J.D. Power ranked Window World highest in customer satisfaction with window and patio door retailers. Be proud of your home and take care of it with a brand you can trust. Window World, America's exterior remodeler.
So we get a contract on your home, and now we've got to talk about those things that are staying with the house. The time to really talk about it, though, is now, before we have a contract. So things that are expected to stay will be kind of in the fine print. It's really not that fine. It's a section in the contract. Now, I've included that, a link to it, so that you can see it and review it. But there's some other items that are by default expected, and those things would be considered attached to the house. So if they're not listed in the section that I've included for you, that link, then maybe you need to remove them or replace them. Let me give you an example. Your great-grandmother's Tiffany lamp that you had installed. Well, if some buyer comes in and just falls in love with it, that's something that you're going to find very hard to replace. So replace it now. A buyer's going to come in, they're going to probably like or be indifferent to what you picked, but if you don't replace it ahead of time, then they're going to fall in love with it, and the whole sale of the house is going to be teetering on this lamp. Or window coverings, or bathroom mirrors, or another example, something that's just really special to you. So think about those things. If they are yours, get them out of sight, or if they're yours and you can't just go to Walmart and replace it with something else, get those out of sight. Now, the other items can be lawn implements of some sort, like decorations. Those can often be a gray area. So if there's a statuary or something of that nature, maybe a hand-painted mailbox, whatever, if you've got a question about it, call me and ask. And if in doubt, let's just get it out of sight so we don't have to worry about it and it doesn't become a hindrance to your successful sale and closing.
How they run their business, what they can do for you. And you'll find the professionals will really stand out from the crowd. It's a free report. You can get it at 20questionsforhomesellers.com. That's 20questionsforhomesellers.com. No cost, no obligation. Get in the driver's seat. Be a home seller who's in the know, who's making the right decisions for you. 20questionsforhomesellers.com.
1023 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk as Tulsa's most accurate and dependable forecast.
Looking at the sunshine as we head through the weekend, temperatures climb into the upper 80s with triple-digit heat index values again. As we go into Monday, though, cold front comes in with rain chances and
Thank you, Megan. Right now, there's a few clouds out there, 95 degrees, but it feels like 107. If you're going to be outside, make sure you hydrate and take plenty of breaks. More Daryl Baskin right now on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
So, some news around town. The apartment complex in Broken Arrow, 169, Broken Arrow Expressway and Highway 169, sold for $14.64 million. A lot of these sales I don't report, but just curious to some people, like, wow, what do those sell for? $45,600 per unit. And so when you're looking at that type of commercial investment, you often look at that per unit, and then you have breakdowns on, not like emotional breakdowns, but the financial breakdown. Did you think that was funny?
I laughed
just
so
go over
much.
Everybody's head. I don't know. The breakdown on number of units, the number of bedrooms per unit, number of baths per unit, and that seemed like a pretty good purchase. I don't know what condition it was in, but if you're looking for an apartment, give me a call. BaskinCommercial.com or 918-258-2600. If you want to do it the old-fashioned way and actually pick up the phone, I'll answer if I'm not on air. 258-2600.
During this 1 hour of time.
All right. So how do you, Hillary Odell, with the Baskin Real Estate Specialists, you're out here dealing with agents all the time, and recently we have attractive offers that we have to deal with, and we're discussing with the client, the seller client, what offer we want to accept. Mm-hmm. And it became a very frank discussion about not just the buyer, but the real estate agent who's representing the buyer and who is going to be the best to work with. Mm-hmm. So why do you not want a real estate agent who's too good?
Who's too good?
Yeah.
I think one of the main things that we have to think about in this, like, you obviously want a realtor who's going to pay attention to detail, who catches those things and is on top of everything.
Do a good job.
A good job. But when you have crossed a line of being too good, in this particular case, when you have a realtor who's asking every little question under God's green earth and is trying to, just asking these things that don't matter at all, and we haven't even accepted the contract yet, you now raise this red flag of like, am I going to be able to work with this person for an entire 30 days and get a contract to actually go through?
There you go. And so we haven't even had inspections yet.
We have not even had inspections yet.
So when we find that there's a drippy faucet, is the drippy faucet going to be the problem, or is the drippy real estate agent on the other side going?
Exactly. No.
Are they going to be the problem?
Exactly.
And this is why I think you see really successful realtors who are very good at what they do and that advise and educate home buyers and home sellers who are going through a process that's very overwhelming. And it's like, I don't really know what to do with this.
And they don't know what to look for either on top of that. Like,
they're asking the question inside, and they may not actually vocalize it, but they're asking the question, is this okay? Mm-hmm. So it's why you need to have a realtor that, A, you have an incredible amount of trust in. Exactly. You have to know when they're telling you something that it's not based on a commission that they're going to earn or laziness and they don't want to do anything else, but that they back up what they're saying with facts and understanding of why, but also someone who doesn't make a big deal out of everything. Because I've seen so many home buyers, especially recently, lose really exceptional homes because the agent they were working with wasn't giving them the proper advice of, this is something, let's be concerned about it, but be concerned about it in the big picture of this can be fixed, or we can get professionals to look at it and advise if it's a serious issue. Not walk away from it and think you're getting a better house when actually what happens from one house to the next, and Hillary, I know you can second this. On one, you know what the flaws are because someone's been very transparent and honest and said, okay, these are the things we've worked on, these are the things we've done. On another house, they say, oh, no, everything's great. Well, it makes you feel good until 2 years later you move in and you're like, oh, well, they duct tape over this and they didn't do this
maybe
right.
Maybe it's not even what the buyer wants. That's the thing, is like if you lose perspective and you're almost have this tunnel vision of like, did you notice that? Look, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. You have to take a step back and find out what they actually want, because these things can always be negotiated. They can be talked through. It maybe isn't even that big of a deal. So you just like, being too smart or too good doesn't always mean that you're the best realtor at all. It's
really, really a great point, and I love this topic to death because a real estate agent needs to be an asset to you and a consultant, and ultimately help you get to the closing table, whether you're the buyer or the seller, and feel good about how you got there. Help you answer the questions, learn and educate yourself as to what the risks are, what the rewards are, what your other options may be. And when someone reaches the closing table like that, even in circumstances where the change in their lives may not be welcome, like, I'm not happy I'm here having to buy this house, but if you go through that process, educating yourself and understanding what your options are with someone who understands the business, then you can leave with a smile, and it doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be adversarial. And I use the term high conflict real estate agent regularly, because you don't need to be adversarial about everything. And if you've got somebody who thinks they're being a hero for you all the time by stirring up problems so that they can come in and wear a cape and say it's all great, then you may be working with the wrong person. It's that simple. Hillary, 918-740-0077. That's the main. That's the buyer line. You want to see a house this afternoon? Give us a call. We'll arrange that appointment. 918-740-0077. And one of the things we want to do here at the Baskin Real Estate Specialist is earn your trust by educating you through the process and making it an experience that you can sit back from the closing table, smile, and be like, "This was great. I found my dream home."
Exactly. Does not have to be stressful.
One address, thousands of homes, homeguidetulsa.com. Now, not open this week, but you probably want to take a look at it because it's one of the lowest prices in Broken Arrow, Bixby. That's even less inventory than Broken Arrow. 13407 South 90th East Avenue, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a beautiful backyard, quiet cul-de-sac. It's in the Blue Ridge edition. $135,000 is the price, and while it's scheduled to be open next weekend, I don't actually think it will make it until next weekend. I truly don't. And you can find more information and photos, including the DB3D tour 3D model. If you got Google Cardboard or Oculus, put those on and then go look at the 3D models. It's like you're really walking through it. Serious. You haven't done it yet.
I have not done that.
We'll have to go. I haven't bought Oculus because they just came out with a newer version. I actually have to order them anyway. So I'm so impulsive. If they don't have it on the shelf, I'll be like, okay, well, I'll just come back. I just like to touch and play around with it. But to do these 3D tours that are the DB 3D tours with the virtual glasses, and you can do it with Google Cardboard. They're so fun. It's like you're walking through. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will talk more with Leilani Armstrong.
When quality and value matter most, choose Window World. Superior service, American-made products, and industry-leading warranties make us the #1 choice for your next home remodel. J.D. Power ranked Window World highest in customer satisfaction with window and patio door retailers. Be proud of your home and take care of it with a brand you can trust. Window World, America's exterior remodeler.
66 are the things that are most important on this side.
Diane, show me. Here, this is where Tulsa started, right?
Yeah.
So right here is where Red Fork is, Ollie's. You say oil was struck there, and
well, it's not far from there. I think it's actually actual wells like right up in here.
This vicinity, and so what caused all of this growth up into Tulsa? I mean, if this was originally Tulsa.
Well, just like I stated, is that, this is where all the drilling was going on. This is where all the roughnecks were. It was a very, very rowdy, full steam ahead community in this area. There was a lot of activity going on here. So, like I said, the oil barons, moved across over into here, into the 15th Street area to build their homes.
Okay, so this is now
the downtown area.
This is now downtown, and back over here we have the redevelopment of Crystal City. This is Route 66. And what is it called? The Cyrus Avery Bridge.
Cyrus Avery Bridge.
That's the significance of that bridge. And Route 66 is that was the passageway into what's now our downtown.
Exactly. Well, and this is actually called the Cyrus Avery Plaza.
Plaza, okay.
And then there's the 11th Street Bridge, and they're really the significance of them is two separate things. The bridge, because it gave them access to the other side of the river, to transport things, to transport food, to move to do all the activity to. Otherwise, there was the other location that was down here. So the bridge that was down here, and these two were not here at the time. So this was very, This was one of the first ones, and it's very significant because it did give them access to downtown where they began.
And that explains why the west side of the river really was so industrial. This is where our money was.
This is actually where the well is.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's being, drilled here down in Creek County. There's just a ton of oil. In fact, right now, most of the oil in Oklahoma is coming out of Creek County. So it was all down in this area.
Well, Diane, with the new name is Route 66 Main Street.
Yes.
And we'll see signs and a lot of progress, really marking the redevelopment of Tulsa's history right here along Route 66 on the west side.
I think that choosing anything for your home can be intimidating.
When we are faced with a decision of this magnitude, and there are so many options and there are so many choices,
To have someone hold your hand and say, hey, these are some good options. Start.
Hey, can you Shazam this, Thea? Here's another good one.
You don't have to Shazam. I can tell you what it is.
I know you can. This one I would be a little more apt to. Right?
Tim can tell you what it is.
You had a disco in New York? We have a lot of fun here when the mics are off and the studio banter is taking place. You're listening to The Future of Real Estate, Tulsa's source for local real estate news and information. I'm Daryl Baskin of the Baskin Real Estate Specialists at eXp Realty. 2929 South Perkins Road in Stillwater, approximately 11 acres of commercial land. This is just right outside the city limits of Stillwater on Perkins Road. So you have like freedom. You don't have to get approval for everything because it's just over the city limits. So there's a industrial type building on it. So a steel structure that would be great for an auto shop, could convert it into office space. There are RV connections. I don't remember the total. I mean, probably like 20 or so on the south side of the property. So you've got a built-in RV park that just turnkey. You get started on it, and lots of business there. You can tell by Wade's RV program right before me. Really a lot of activity happening in the RV world and good demand for it. So you want to check this property out. You'll find it on LoopNet. You can find it on the Tulsa Commercial Properties websites. Any of our commercial brokers who are a member of Connect CIE can get you that. And if you don't have a commercial broker, give me a call directly, 918-258-2600 at the Baskin Real Estate Specialist or BaskinCommercial.com. 2929 South Perkins Road in Stillwater. Okay, we need to continue this discussion. Leilani Armstrong, Tulsa Early Settlement Mediation. We've talked about resolving disputes without going to court, and one of the built-in, just the template of the contract templates in GTAR, Greater Tulsa Association of Realtors, is that we will go to mediation using Tulsa Early Settlements Program. This has been around for a very long time, but it's still not discussed often enough. And I think a lot of realtors don't even know the process and how it works and how simple it is to solve something that is maybe lurking or going to become a problem instead of letting it blow up. What options do we have with earnest money, with what's called the TRR, which is when repairs come in? If there's the most contentious part of a real estate sale is the TRR and the repairs, almost always.
Well, we do a lot of real estate mediation, and basically we want the realtors to know that nobody has to pay a fee anymore. They can just call up or send their clients down or whatever. We can take it. But it doesn't matter whether it's an earnest money dispute or whether it's a seller disclosure type issue from the seller disclosure forms. Maybe something wasn't revealed about the house and you've moved in and you find out there's some problems. All of these things can be brought to the table in mediation. We have people who bring it for specific performance types of actions where there's a breach of contract alleged, where maybe the buyer didn't close on the deal or the seller ended up taking the house off the market, or something happens. Anyway, so we get a lot of them resolved. And that punch list that you're talking about, that TRR, those things are all negotiable.
Treatments, repairs, replacements. That's what that stands for.
Right.
And the TRR, just an acronym that's used regularly.
Right. And people come and negotiate
They do what?
They come and negotiate during mediation. You know, sometimes people move in, they say, gee, the heat and air, you told me it was new or it had been replaced. It turned out it wasn't. Maybe it was a mistake on the disclosure. Maybe somebody didn't realize that the date was wrong or something, and they find out they've got an old unit and it's falling apart, and they find out that the bill is going to be, $7,000 to replace it, and they're not prepared for that because they just bought the house and they don't have any more money.
Well, it's funny. My answer was, I looked at you and said, they what? Because you said they negotiate during mediation.
They do.
And I never really thought, you just kind of connected a dot. I mean, that's what's happening, and I've experienced it. I've been through that mediation process with clients before. It's very, very good. Not with clients, like disputing with my clients, although I could use it for that, but disputes between a buyer and a seller, where what I have always found, and I'm wondering how frequent this is, that they sit down and they actually discover something that they didn't know about the other side, and they suddenly get along. I mean, it's like they can shake hands when they're leaving and be like, this was really cool. I had no idea that was your position.
We have that happen a lot. We have people end mediations, and you'll see them walking down the hall talking together like they're old friends. It's really interesting. We don't find that when you go to court. When you go to court and people have a court mediation, like even in small claims court where they're assigned by the judge, it's different when there's a lawsuit involved. But if there's not a lawsuit involved and the realtors have encouraged them, hey, you signed a real estate contract where there was a mediation clause, and this is your right and your privilege is to go to mediation, do that. We can get a lot of things ironed out between the parties. And a lot of times the people who bought the house and the people who are selling the house, obviously they both loved the same house. And that's a bridge builder right there. So they want to help them, and a lot of times they will work these things out and come to an equitable or a negotiable solution.
How many times do you end up with a no-show? Like you schedule a mediation, and someone, for example, in the real estate contract, it says that you'll schedule a mediation, and one party may show up and the other just doesn't.
Not often on real estate cases, because we try to educate people when they call. We say, you signed a real estate contract, check if there's a mediation clause in your contract. And if there is, then you have basically said, I will come to mediation if there's any kind of a hiccup or a problem.
And you don't want to be the guy who goes to court, who they point out, says, we're here at court. He didn't even keep his contractual obligation to show up at mediation to try to work it out.
Yeah, that does not make one look favorable in court.
So that's a very valid point. So back to this issue, though, of mediation is not arbitration. So when you go to court, the judge, is going to decide this is the way it is, and the gavel goes down and we're done. You live with it. But in mediation, you're able to participate in the outcome and maybe see that kind of as an insurance policy.
Well, and there's a lot of information sharing that goes on. And you were quite correct when you said people don't realize how it was from the other person's perspective. They always invariably learn new information at the mediation table.
Kind of like we see something on the news and it's like, oh, well, that guy's a criminal or what. But then you hear an interview with that person and the news didn't report the whole story, and like, wait a minute, that's a very different situation. Whatever you might be able to relate that to, this is happening in our business dealings, your personal business dealings all the time. So talk about the situation with a consumer and a store. I mean, what other types of things are you involved in at Tulsa Early Settlement?
Well, people pay for products or services and they feel that they don't get them or they weren't rendered properly or whatnot. If there's a legitimate excuse or a legitimate problem, we always are willing to schedule a mediation. I mean, they just have to explain the situation to us, and we'll file the mediation with them, and have them come down and try to work it out. I find that the business community is very receptive because they know what attorney fees and what costs can really run up their bill, and they don't want to do that. They don't want to go to court. Plus, they have a business reputation. They want to be known in the community for being that upstanding, forthright business that will take care of their customers and their clientele.
Back to real estate on the disclosures, what is the most common dispute that you see over real estate disclosures? And I'm describing to a listener, this is the 3-page form that a seller fills out saying, this is what I know about a house and or about the house that I'm selling. And sometimes it's either left off or forgotten. Or
it could be an omission or a mistaken fact. Sometimes people put, like, they thought they got a roof in, 99, but it turned out the roof was in 95 or something, something like that. So sometimes it can be a mistaken fact of what was disclosed. Sometimes, and I'm not picking on real estate offices because realtors are near and dear to my heart because my mother was a licensed broker in Texas. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah, for more than 40 years. So I have a lot of realtors in my background. But no, sometimes real estate offices, make mistakes. You've got one person who's doing the data entry at the computer, who's taking stuff and typing it in. And, sometimes there's mistakes on what is put in the listing, and it's not intentional.
My very first experience with Tulsa Early Settlement was this. I listed a house. The seller, we were sitting at the kitchen table. The seller said, "Oh, yeah, the Whirlpool tub, it's being repaired. It will be in working order." She checked Whirlpool tub, normal working order. The repair person was scheduled for the very following week to come out. The part had been ordered. It was going to be installed. Everything was done. The repair person never came out. Months later, the house sold. The seller had forgotten about it. The repair person would just kind of disappeared into nowhere. It wasn't caught on the inspection. We ended up going to mediation. The seller came back, and said, "Oh my goodness, this is what has happened. I didn't realize that." The buyer and they left all friends. The buyer was like, "Oh, well, this is so wonderful. We're getting it repaired." The repair person was located.
Which is all they wanted, really.
It was, and it was one of those situations that it went awry. Because of the breakdown in communication that really happened because of a fourth party. It wasn't the real estate, it wasn't me, it wasn't the seller, and it wasn't the buyer. We just didn't understand what had taken place until we were able to piece the story back together, and having the mediator there gave everyone someone to talk to. But in that instance where the buyer felt like, I've been cheated, somebody has done me wrong and left me with a problem, it made it very difficult to communicate. And so we found somebody that they trust, which was the mediator, who had been trained, and the two parties, I wasn't even speaking during the process. The two parties spoke directly to the mediator, which meant they expressed asking for basket.